Hello everyone, this is Gayle, and if you can see here on my work surface, I've got 4 different colors of clay. I have cobalt blue, which is Primo cobalt blue. This is Primo zinc yellow. This is Primo green. This is just plain green. It's just plain green. And of course some black. And they're rolled out to different thicknesses of my pasta machine because I'm going to be doing different things with the different colors. So I'll just go through that later in a little bit. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut, maybe this much of the yellow off and save that for later. And the rest I'm going to roll into a log. And this is rolled out to the thickest setting of the pasta machine. It's not very straight. So let me just try to straighten this out just a little bit so I can start with a flat edge. And I'm just going to roll this into a log. And just be sure you press down as you roll so that you're not incorporating any air. Because air is not our friend in polymer clay. That's where you'll get your cracks, a hole. It could be different things. But let me just roll this up. I'm going to roll in this end seam, but actually at the same time I'm going to also push from the ends because I want to make this a little bit fatter and shorter. And that's because if you start with fat and short, you don't have to roll your other clay quite as thinly. So what I'm going to do, I've got this nice little plug. Probably need to roll it some more. It's got a few little dents in it. And just rub them with your finger because you don't want to put clay over top of this. We're going to wrap this. We're going to make a bullseye. And I'm going to use the green to wrap this in. So let me put this here. So we need it about this thick, this wide rather. I'm going to create a straight edge. And that should be enough. Oh, it's more than enough. I'll roll it, over to where it hits, back up, and then I'll cut just inside of that line. And I'm going to save the green for a little bit later. I'm not sure exactly what colors I'm going to use yet. And as you can see, I didn't cut it short enough. So let me just trim a little bit off because I want these to just meet. I don't want them to overlap. I just want them to meet. And kind of heal this seam with your finger, or if you have a tool you want to use, whatever you use to smooth your seams. And this clay needs a little bit of help because it's not as conditioned. It's conditioned, but it's not as soft as the yellow. So I'm just going to use a clay shaper and just kind of rub over it a little bit to heal that seam. Then I'll roll it again to make it smooth. I just don't want the seam there. So let me roll it again. So now we've got the yellow. I guess this is maybe, the yellow is about 1 inch in diameter. I wrapped it in green, which is the thickest setting of the pasta machine. And now I'm going to wrap it in black. But it's a very thin layer. All right, this is run at the number 5. And for those of you that use the playing card method of maintaining your clay, of rolling your clay, let me tell you that my thickest setting of the pasta machine, which is the green, is 9 playing cards thick. The black is a number 5, which is 3 playing cards thick. So you know it's a lot thinner than the other. So let me just lay this down and trim this off. And then roll it. This is a little bit softer, so maybe this method will work a little bit better. So I'll save that. I didn't cut it very straight, did I? That's all right, I can just stretch it out. Again, we want a smoother seam. And I may lose a little bit on the ends, but now you can see. Let me just slice one end off so you can see what we've got. We've got yellow, wrapped in green, wrapped in black. Now, after all the work we did to make this short and fat, now we're going to reduce it. And the yellow is really soft and the black is really soft, so let's hope the green, being closer to the outside, will reduce properly. And I see, where'd it go? There's a little pocket of air right there. This black was a little sticky, so it stuck really well. I'm just trying to make sure I get all the little air pockets out. And what I do with a round cane is I roll it a little bit and then I pull it. And then I roll it and I pull it. And I wiggle, especially in the center, which warms up the clay in the middle. And you can see here, I am losing the black here because the yellow is reducing so fast. But that's okay. This one is caving in, again, because the yellow and the green are different temperatures, or different consistencies, I should say. But now I've rolled it out to about 9 inches, so I'm going to cut it in half, but I'm going to continue rolling. And I'm going to roll this out to about 8 inches. And we're almost there. Trim off the ends. And I'm going to cut this into 4 2-inch slices, or pieces, not slices. going to lay them up next to each other. And kind of squish them together. And then kind of lean them over a little bit. See what we've got there? They're leaned over. They're not straight up and down anymore. They're leaned over. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Try to do both at the same time rather than having to stop and go, and you know how it goes. So I'll roll this out to 8 inches. Actually, this is what I rolled out. Let's see. Try to get the bigger ends. Okay, so I'll cut off the ends. Oh, that is, I rolled it out to 9 instead of 8, but it should work out okay. Cut this into 4 pieces, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to line them up next to each other, squeeze them together, and then push them to one side. And how much you push them is entirely up to you. And then we're going to take our roller, and I'm going to just do both at the same time. So they'll be about the same thickness, and roll over them to make sure they're flattened out pretty good. Don't want them to stick together. But what you'll end up with is something like this. So because these were a little bit skinnier, because I cut them rolled it to 9 inches instead of 8 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these one on top of the other. Maybe I'll flip it so that the creases aren't exactly the same. Lay this one on top because it's there. It wasn't matching really well because one's a little bit wider than the other, but we'll fix in that. Or actually, I forgot, before we do this, I'm going to run it through the pasta machine on the thickest setting, which is 9 playing cards. And just to make it easy, I'm just going to trim off these ends. But there we've got, it's spread out even more. So what we're going to do now, these are 3 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 1.5 inches and stack. And then I'm going to cut it this way again. See, this should be 1.5. So I'm going to cut it at 3/4 and stack it. now we have this cane. Now what you want to do with this is just lengthen it out about twice its length. That's the back side. You can tell it's got the black in the middle. You don't see it so much from this side. So now it is about twice its length. So what I'm going to do now is cut this in half. And then this one, let me trim this end off because I want the ends to be even. And I'll trim this end off. And I guess this one I'm going to cut from corner to corner. And I should have used a sharper blade because this blade did not want to do well. And I'm going to take this side and press it up against there. And take this side, press it up against there, and then we have this. Well, I probably should have trimmed this end off too. So you have this trapezoid shaped cane. So now we're going to take two more colors, and I think I'm going to stick with I'm going to use the cobalt blue, and I'm going to roll this to maybe the number 3 setting, which is 5 playing cards. And I'm going to use, do I want to use the yellow or the green? I think I'll use the green. And I'm going to need to roll this through the pasta machine a little bit. So let me stop the camera while I re-roll this. I'll be right back. Okay, I have my blue that is rolled out to the number 3 setting, and the green, which is rolled out to the number 5 setting, and then I have my cane. And first off, what I'm going to do is just kind of scrunch this a little bit. It's going to help seal those seams and make it a little bit easier, because what we're going to do is turn this into a swirl. And I did do one thing wrong. I've done this before, but it's been a long time. But I should have cut it in half this way instead of this way, so that these lines were going up and down. But that's okay. This ought to work too. But you want it thicker in the middle than you do on the edges. And I'm going to take, let's see, just make sure it's going to be long enough. This is going to be about 5.5 inches. So I'm going to take my green, that's not very thin, but it's on the it's on the smallest setting. This is a number 5, and I've moved it so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just cut it about here. And then I'm going to cut it in half, and I'll show you why. Because we're going to take 1/2 of the green, and we're going to take the blue. I couldn't find it. And lay this on top, but let me cut a straight line. I lay things on my pasta machine that I want to get out of the way and don't want it to get messed up. And that's why I said I couldn't find it. But let me just trim this blue to be about the same size as the green. Well, let me use a ruler. As you can see, my blade is not very sharp, which is a good thing for me. So I've got a straight edge. If I can get the clay away from itself. This cobalt blue was a little difficult to get conditioned, and it's still being difficult. It's fine, it's in great shape, it's just a little bit stiffer than the other clays. I'm going to lay this green over top of it. Let's just get rid of the excess so it's out of the way. Then I'm going to lay the other piece of green that's on the number 5. Let me flip this over. I'm going to lay this on this side of the blue. And we're going to make a blue and green sandwich. And I'm not going to trim it yet. I'm going to lay this on here. Try to get it lined up on the straight edge. Going to trim this off, and if you want to, now's a good time to separate your clay before it sticks to each other too badly. And I'm just coming out just a smidgen from the end of that cane, because I'm going to roll it up, and I don't know if I don't need it, I can always trim it off. And then I'm going to cut flush with this side, which shows that this is still a little bit wider. And again, I just like to keep my clays separate before they get stuck together. Alright, so now we have this. And actually, if you want to, you could put a little piece of black in here. Let's do that, just because there is some black in the cane, but you can't see it. I'm just going to set this down on the black. So there will be a thin layer of black. Excuse the hair if you see it. Has a little bit of the green on it, but that's okay, it won't hurt. So now we've got this. I wondered where that came from. I sliced it right there. Let me just take another little piece and fix it. When I slip my blade under it, I slice the black off. So now we've got this. Again, just make sure that it's the way you want it, that the sides are even. And I'm going to want this to be on the outside. So we're going to start here. We're just going to very slowly roll this into a coil and bend this side in as much as you can so that you'll get the coil started. And then just roll this. Like I said, do it slowly. You don't want to crack it after all that you've done to get it together. And then just kind of press this over. And there is a swirl. I don't know what you would call this. It's a swirl cane. Now where I went wrong is when I cut the green and yellow in half, I cut it in half long ways. What I should have done was cut it this way, so these lines would be running up and down. And if I have enough clay, I may do that, but I love this. You can make it shorter. You can use it the way it is. You can put it on a, like if you reduce this down, you can make a bead out of the yellow and lay this on top, and you could have a really pretty decorative bead. And I think I'm going to just leave this the way it is for right now. And see if I can see if I have enough clay condition to do another one. I have enough green. So let me get this green back to the shape it needs to be in, and I will be back and we will try it a different way. Okay, I didn't have as much clay, so I'm only going to work with 4 pieces instead of 8. But I've done the same thing. I rolled the same cane, the yellow wrapped in green, wrapped in black. I'm going to put them next to each other and squeeze them together and then push them to one side. And I think I want them a little, well, you need it to be at least narrow enough to go into your pasta machine. On the thickest setting. Let's see, I've got about 4 inches of good cane. Let me do 4.5. I think that will work. Let me trim off these uneven edges. And you see, we're back to this again. But we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut it in half. I need to get where I can see the numbers. So this is going to be 2 1/4. And I'm going to stack. Sometimes it's easier to get them from the side than it is from the end to get them to match up. So now that's 2 1/4. So let's do this at a little over 1. Let me just center it between these 2 inch lines. And I'll just cut on the inch line. And I'll go on and cut it one more time. So let me cut it at a 1/2 inch. We'll make that the back side, and this one the front side. And we're going to stretch it out a little bit. I'll trim the ends after I stretch it out. Now I'm stretching it the wrong way again, aren't I? I'll tell you what, I'm going to make this smaller anyway because it's less clay. I'm going to go ahead and cut it this way. Now it's still wrong. Because I need it this way. So let me put it together like this. Kind of scrunch it up a little bit. Then I'll cut it back in half again. I'll cut this one cattywampus. That's a Richardism. Those of you that know that I'm also a card maker know that I follow Richard Garay, and cattywampus is one of his names. See if this side looks any better. Let me do that. Put it up this way. But again, we've got that trapezoid shape. See, it's bigger at the top than it is on the bottom. We're going to make sure everything gets stuck together. And narrow the end, the top, because that's going to be thicker, but you don't want it too thick. You want it thin enough that you can roll it. And you don't want it any fatter than the ends. Do the same on the back side because you want them to be the same. And this is what you should be looking at, not this. That doesn't look very pretty. Alright, I've got my blue and green here layered up. Doesn't look like I trimmed it very well. I think I trimmed it before I stacked it. And I'm going to lay this, actually I think I'm going to lay this on the black first. I've got the black rolled out to a number 5. Yeah, number 5. And I may put it on black again after I do this, but I think we need something need it to stick for one thing. I didn't make sure it was stuck. We need something to separate this green from this green. So I'm going to put the black here. Then I'm going to sit it on my green, blue, green. And just try to get it even on that edge. And I left a little bit of green, blue, green over here, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. Trim it to fit. Then I'm going to lay it on black again so that black will be on the outside of this cane. Well, I just ripped it, so I hope it's not going to be, well, I can do it this way. It stuck to my table because the the black is really sticky. And of course, making a video, I don't let things rest as much as they should. I'm going to leave a little bit of extra black on that end. So now we have this. We have black, green, blue, green, and then black. And so now we're going to start rolling again. And again, we're going to start at the end, roll that green up. Don't let it get wider on you, just kind of hold it with your fingers. And again, take your time. Now you can do these in any color. I did one in a pink and purple. And just push that over so that your black meets. And there you have a different cane. Now these were done with the exact same beginnings. It's just when we cut it different. These, the lines are going, well, sort of up and down. I really should have squeezed it a little bit closer. And of course, when you slice it, you'll slice off all of the extra that's over the black. You'll see the black and the blue and the green a little bit better. But these are a little thin right now to slice, and I need to let it rest before I reduce it. But there you go. There's two. This is almost a static-y type cane. But there's just so many things you can do. Just let your imagination run wild. Use different colors in the middle and totally different colors in your swirl. Trying to uncover the swirl just a little bit so you can see it. But this clay is pretty soft right now, so I need to let it sit. But there you go. Let me bring you in a little closer so you can see those. But there you go. It's another type of swirl cane that you can do. It's a little more complicated, but you know, as you keep practicing with your clay, you're going to get better and better, and the more things that you just quote-unquote play with, the more experience you'll get. And who knows, you may discover something really cool too. I just wanted to pop back in here for a minute. I was thinking about this before, and then I forgot while I was doing the video. But you can also do this with scrap canes. This is a little piece of cane. It's a monotone. It's different colors of pinks in there, and I wrapped it in the black. I'm not going to do, since it's black, I don't need to do another one. But this cane is a little cold, and I need it to cool, let the black cool so I can get this reduced. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce this and do the same thing with it, and I'm going to use the same green and blue and just see what that looks like. So I'll be back. Okay, I have reduced this down. See how little that is? I reduced it down to 12 inches, and so I cut it into 4 3-inch pieces. And this time, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and roll these flat before I put them together and see how that does. Okay, here I've doubled these up, and I'm going to lay them side by side. so that they look like the others with the, like with this one, I did it. I know you can't see that. You push these together, and I'm going to cut this in half. It's not going to leave me much. But then I'm going to put these together. I was going to try to move those pointed sides to the outside, but I don't know that I can do that since I've pressed them all together. Hopefully that won't make a difference in the end result. And then I'm going to like cut this in half this way, which now I can change that to the outside, like that. I'm going to cut the short one in half. Let me cut this end off. I'm going to cut this one in half diagonally. Let's see if have I done this wrong? No, it's this way. But this needs to come down a little bit. So let me stretch it out this way. It's been a couple days since I did the other one. I went to let this cane rest, and it took me a while to come back. So that works better. And there we go. And again, we need to press this down. Although I think I did another video, and I think I used all of my thin black. So I'm gonna, oh no, here it is. This is the blue and the green. I'll just use the blue and the green. That'll make a nice contrast. I probably ought to roll this through the pasta machine so that it's not too thick. And I'm so excited because I'm getting a tax return, a refund this year. And I'm going to get a new pasta machine from Ed Street, who does, he gets the, he orders the Atlas machines directly from Italy. And this is done wrong, but that's okay. I keep wanting to do things this way instead of up and down. I meant for these to be up and down, but I guess I just wasn't thinking when I was putting this together. But anyway, Ed buys these pasta machines in bulk from Italy, and then he sends them to Mona Kissel, who is the person that did my pasta machine. She takes the plastic blades off, scraper blades, and replaces them with metal scraper blades. And then she puts a, well, I'll have to show it to you. On the bottom of your pasta machine where the blades are attached, she has it fixed it so that you don't have to take your pasta machine apart to clean it. All you got to do is take 2 screws off. The blades come off. You can clean your blades and then you can put them back on. And it's amazing. So if you have something that you would like to, if you have a machine you would like to have the other blades replaced, she would be the one to do it. Now this one, if I don't put black on the bottom, is going to have, here's 2 little pieces of black left. It's going to have the green on the outside, and I really don't want the green on the outside. So let me run this through. That was at the thickest. This is the 3rd thickest. And this is the 5th thickest setting on my pasta machine. I just would rather it have a black outside. But anyway, my money was deposited into my account yesterday, so I ordered myself, oh, I didn't finish telling you. Ed then uses I forgot what he called it, but it's some kind of finish. You know, this still isn't going to work because this has got I cut it sideways, the wrong way, so the black is on the side. So let me cut this black off, otherwise you're not going to get the swirl. But he does them in different colors, then he mounts them on a 3/4 inch acrylic block, so you don't have to clamp it down on your work surface. Now I have really messed this one up totally, but I'm going to finish it just to show you what you can do even with a mess, because this could be scrap clay. It doesn't even have to be an old cane. It can just be scrap clay that you chop up. And that's kind of what this one's going to look like, unfortunately. But anyway. The side I wasn't paying any attention to kind of cracked a little bit. I need to just push some of this back together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the skinniest end. And I'm going to roll it this way so that I can have the black on the outside. And I'm just going to coax this. But there's another possibility of a cane that you can do. But here are the other 2, if you remember those. Now these have been sitting long enough, I can probably start to reduce these now. This one reminds me of the Starry Night. That matter of fact, this would make a good background if you want to do a polymer clay painting and you want to kind of imitate the Starry Night type thing. I think, is it Van Gogh, the Starry Night? You just keep making it. The more you squeeze it, it's going to get thicker this way and smaller in diameter. Let me just go ahead and finish doing this a little bit more, just so you can see. And I turn it over because I come up to the top. Then I push the center in. And then do it all over again. And you just keep going and keep going and keep going. And you can already see this one is getting almost wide enough that I can hold on to and reduce, as opposed to this one. See how much wider it got? if you have the cane caps from Teresa Salgado, you can use those. Of course, I didn't, which I should have. But let me just do a slice. Hopefully this blade isn't dull enough that it won't cut a thick cane. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? They look a lot different when they're reduced. You don't get so much of the noise, you know, like you have here. All of this gets smaller. And I think that one is going to be very pretty. And all you need to do is like roll a bead. Say you want to do a tube bead. And this clay is not conditioned, so I can't really do that for you right now. But, so I hope you like this. I just wanted to show you the technique so that you can, you know, do this yourself with anything that you've got. And so I hope you like it. Again, I will be back soon with another polymer clay video. Bye-bye.